All right, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of VGF Strat Corner podcast. Man, I'm gonna be honest, I'm a little drained this episode. First of all, I'm missing Dan again, and I apologize to all of our fans because I know you love him. And I should give a little bit of background because he's from Minnesota, and if you are under a rock and you don't read the news or anything, they had a government shutdown not too long ago. So he's kind of bouncing around a little bit because he does work for the government of Minnesota, so it's a little tough. But just like last time or last few times, we do have a special guest here for you with tons and tons of notes. Noodlehead, what's up, man?
Hello, how are you?
Not too bad. Well, I'm glad I got you on for this because just like Kilkabees, KAB, man, he was stacked with all sorts of notes. From the sounds of it, you got the same thing going on. So
that's good.
Yeah, it is good because people like the funnies, but they actually want info. I don't know why. I mean, I wish I could just sit here for an hour and just tell dead baby jokes, but
oh, dead baby joke. I have quite a few.
That's too off color, I guess.
Yeah, pretty
much. So I'm just gonna sit back with my fucking Bacardi Raz and let you do your thing, and just so that people don't think less of me, I did a lot of drinking this weekend with Evo, so that's why I have a Bacardi. I'm trying to come down off of my retarded jet lag that I have going on. So, well, let me throw the vent or the floor open to you, and just kind of give everybody a background, like where you're from, where you started, because you recently moved scenes not too long ago. So,
right. So my name is Josh, and I'm originally from Taiwan, and I came here when I was 17. And for the past 12 years, I actually stayed in Massachusetts. And up until last year, I moved to in Indiana to work. So I've been here ever since, and there's completely no scene down here, and I'm trying to train new kids. And so hopefully that'll build a small community down here.
Yeah, I wish you the best of luck, and I don't envy you at all. Because especially with Tekken, it's so hard to get people to come out of the woodwork.
Yeah, it is. However, Sloops does come here to visit once in a while, though. So that's really, really nice of him.
Yeah, that is really nice because he's a really, really solid player.
He's a beast. Yeah. It takes about 2 hours and a half to go from Cincy to Bloomington. So it's not that bad of a drive if I really, really feel like to hump on Sloops' ass. But normally it's the other way around.
Well, you know what? I got to call both of you out right now because neither of you motherfuckers was at Evo.
Yeah, all right. Sloosh had to work.
That's fair enough, yeah.
Yeah, and I recently bought a house, so
that's not
really. Come on.
They just gave you a bunch of money to buy a house. You got to learn how to take off the top a little bit.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I mean, this is no excuse. Maybe I'll go next year. Maybe.
I'm not gonna lie though. I was a fucking idiot with it this year because well, first of all, like, I just completely destroyed one of my feet. Like, I walked way too much, and I have a blister that's like just turned into this troll that's a part of my foot.
Isn't it hot out there? Isn't it hot?
Well, yes and no. Like, I don't know how hot it is in Indiana right now,
yep.
But like in Iowa, we're kind of going through the same heat wave the whole country's going through, but we have like really, really high humidity. So if it's like 75, it feels like a fucking 120. So some people in Vegas are like, oh, people say it's a dry heat, but it doesn't matter. It's still hot. No, it matters.
Yeah, it's pretty. In Boston, no matter how hot it is, it's still pretty dry. So it still feels really, really nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm here now, so I just get to suffer.
Because, there was, when we were there, I want to say, like, the last day, it dropped down a little bit into, like, the 80s, and that was really nice. But it's 80s here, and it's fucking deadly. So
Wait, does that mean that you're naked right now?
Sort of.
Oh.
With my Bacardi Raz, there's a mental picture for you.
Sorry, let me.
Dan would be so proud of me. Right? So,
yeah, he would.
well, yeah. So you guys missed out on Evo, and you missed out on a really fun time, sort of. Like I have this thing where every time Evo happens and I go, I like never spend any time there. Like for the 3-day event, I want to say I spent maybe 10 hours at the venue, and the rest of the time I was out drinking and fucking, on the strip and shit.
Are you with Sushi all the time?
We were, because it was me and my girlfriend, Sushi, her husband.
Right.
Tita Zayu, or Claversaurus, as some people know her.
Yeah.
Her husband, and then we also had a couple other TZers, Sofa King Kuma, if anybody knows him.
Oh God.
And then Big Worm was with us. Like that was the posse. And then we kind of rolled around, and sometimes we picked up a couple people, and then we ditched them later, and then we were bouncing around. But
sounds great.
Evo was really weird this year because like Tekken. And you and I were talking about this right before I started the recording. Like, Tekken, the finals were boring. It was so boring. But I was pretty much just, like, watching it to kill time while I was in line for Tag 2. Like, that was the only reason I was watching it.
So you actually got to play Tag 2 then?
I did. But, I mean, it's goofy because, I mean, nobody knows what they're doing. The couple of people who do know what they're doing, they sit there and they mash heads in for 5 matches and then they get up and move on. So it was goofy. I mean, it was kind of fun, but we've talked about it on the podcast, like some of the pros and cons to what we know so far. And it was kind of what I expected. Like, I'm really not a fan of how you can't tag cancel and stuff like that. So,
you can't tag cancel anymore?
No, you can't tag cancel because like they changed it so that the whole tag method is more offensive. So like you can start attacking way earlier than you used to be able to. But you can't block. So
did you guys the frame for tag crash? Like the one that the tagging character just kind of jump from above and do the triple roll?
Yeah, and I couldn't figure out how the hell to do it. Like I kept doing it accidentally, and then
5.
Yeah, is it just like random when it happens? Because like it seemed like sometimes it would happen at the wall, and then other times when I was at the wall, it wouldn't do it. I was like,
wait, so you're on the ground, right?
Yeah.
And you press 2 plus 5 then?
Oh, you press 2 plus 5?
Yeah, you press 2 plus 5 to have it up.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, it is really weird. And also, what was it? Oh, shit, I forgot. Yeah.
Because, I mean, yeah, the couple times I did that, I was like, okay, cool. If I can do that every time, I'm straight.
Right. By the way, so is generic DF2, can you do the tag juggle? Like, let's say, can you press DF2, then press 5 to tag out?
I think so. Because when I watched, like, a couple law players, like, they were doing it just fine. But I personally, I was playing True Ogre and Armor King, and neither of them have generic down 4-2. So.
Okay, so I mean, because I actually asked Q-Dog, who tested Yoshi, and he couldn't get a DF2 into a 5 work. So we couldn't tag out with his no sword stance DF2. It got sucked.
Yeah, that does sound like sucks. But yeah, from what I hear, he's so overpowered in the beta version.
No, seriously, I'll tell you more about it. I've actually got some Tekken Tech to Yoshi info as well. It's pretty bad.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah.
we got spoilers here. What's up?
Not much stuff. But,
I do have to make one final note about Evo before we move on, because I go there, and first of all, I've talked about Mortal Kombat on this podcast before because I really think it's a fun game, and it's cheesy as hell, and but it's super fun, and it's not so busted as some people try to make it out to be. But I mean, it was super hype. But I became a random judge at Evo because they didn't have enough people. But like, I show up for my Mortal Kombat brackets, and every pool around us is starting, and like 10 of us are just sitting there like, okay, where's our judge? And I'm like, what the fuck? So I go over to their little command booth or whatever, and I'm like, we're the only people without a judge. Like, do you have somebody who has our pool or something? Where is this guy? And I think it was Dr. Dog I was talking to. He was like, I don't know. We're trying to figure out. I have your pool right here, but we don't have enough people. What? Are you serious right now? It's like 15 minutes after our pool is supposed to start. And I was like, dude, just give me the bracket. Just give it to me. I'm going to run it real quick. And I ended up DQing half my fucking bracket.
Oh my!
Because nobody showed up. It was like Mortal Kombat was the weirdest thing because it wasn't just my pool either. Like we were hearing it everywhere. Like people were getting DQ'd left and right. So I don't know if like Mortal Kombat players don't know how tournaments are run. Like, or just like if maybe we're joking when we tell you you're supposed to be at a certain place at a certain time. I don't know. But
Wait. It could it be the reason that the guy who wears a spandex was in your bracket?
No. I didn't see any spandex in my bracket.
Oh, you didn't see that guy? Man, I need to show it to you. Like, I need to give you the link.
That's another thing that was really crazy about Evo, though. There were so many, like, just crazy shit going on. Like, people cross-dressing and shit. I was like, what the fuck is going on? I know we're in Vegas, but... oh, it was fucking crazy. But, I mean, I got a badass shirt out of the deal. Yeah. I ran my bracket like butter, so it was all good.
Hey, you got something.
Yeah.
Good job, man.
All right. Well, okay, so that'll be my final, like, ha-ha funny note, and we'll move on. So this podcast, although it doesn't seem like it so far, is about a Tekken 6 character, about Yoshimitsu, and I'm actually really excited for this because I do have a player here who's nearby who plays a lot of Yoshi, so I have a lot of experience playing against him. He's a really cool character. I don't play him, but, I mean, he looks really fun. Yoshi has always been, a really gimmicky, fun character. And a lot of people, even if they don't play him, like to watch him play a good Yoshi just roll. Like, and there's a lot of other characters out there. Like, even if you watch a good player with him, you're like, man, this is boring. I don't watch it at all.
Like Evo Finals?
Exactly, like Evo Finals. Bob is bullshit. It's lame finals, but...
Big shot for the win, man.
Oh, well, I mean, what can we expect?
Yo.
All right, so I guess, do you have, like, a flow to your notes?
Yes.
Like, where you want to start or where you want to go? You just want me to, like...
I could start by giving an introduction of Yoshi, if you want.
Go for it. I'll just sit back and let you do your...
All right. Yeah, just stop me whenever you have any questions.
Okay.
I'll
be the idiot. I'll be the idiot new.
Don't worry about it. I actually want to know how much you know about Yoshi, because one of the most important factor about how to play Yoshi is to know how your opponent plays.
Sidestep 2 is bullshit.
Sidestep 2 is horrible. 100%. And minus 14 or something.
It is, but like, but my issue with Sidestep 2 is like when you start the animation for it, like this fucking force field comes around it. It's just a big bubble, and you can't get in. You have to just sit there and wait for it to come out and then punish it. But like, I just hate it because you're like, oh, here it comes. Oh wait, here's my force field that I can't go anywhere. Silly, but anyway. Okay, so give us an intro to Yoshi.
Alright, so Yoshi is pretty much very well discussed in the tier thread, which that he is pretty much arguably one of the worst 3 bottom tiers. And while he's really, really good at mind games, he really sucks at the basics and fundamentals. Well, I'll give you guys some ideas with his strengths and weaknesses. I mean, he's really, really good with unblockables. And he has the fastest attack in the game. And he's also good at Okizeme, as well as the exceptions that makes him, how would I say it, like, being the exceptions of many rules. For example, like, a lot of times that you're going to attack him, and it gives you, like, a +5. You're actually in minus.
Flash is the ultimate exception.
Yes, Flash is nasty. And there is a trick about Flash, too, because in no sort stance, you can Flash from fully crouched stance.
Which is super weird.
Which one makes him that pretty much, it's pretty much his twin piston in no sort stance, because he could just random duck and flash you when you're with a poke. But yeah, I mean his weaknesses. He has a horrible poking, and he has a horrible frames on block, and most of his moves are situational, and that's the reason why we have to use. Most of Yoshi players have to use many moves to either confuse their opponents or to use different moves because they have a different purpose on different ranges and frames. And also, he has very, very few good lows, and his juggles don't do that much damage. And most of his matchups are also quite extreme, which I'll go over later. And again, for some reason, the Tekken 6, they didn't really design Yoshi well, so he has some of the really inconsistent hitbox among all the characters in the game. So, yeah, because of that, Yoshi is not really good, and there are only a handful amount of players in the U.S. that use Yoshi consistently. Besides me, there are Inga from Florida, Junon from Virginia, let's see, Bronson. Actually, Bronson from North Cali. And,
bullshit. That guy is a tier whore. He plays whoever's good at the time.
No, actually, Bronson worked really, really hard with Yoshi. Especially, we can pretty much call him the no-sword stance of Yoshi of America right now because he is pretty much known for his no-sword stance Yoshi. His no-sword stance Yoshi is really, really good. Yeah.
I was going to say, last time I saw him, or saw any vids or him playing stuff, he was playing Bruce. So.
Yeah. Well, he didn't really start using Yoshi until probably a few months ago. Like, let's say 3 months, 4 months ago.
He is a gifted player, I'll give him that much. For sure.
Yeah. Try it next time when you see him. You will love it. And
I don't know when the next time I'm going to see him is. I don't remember him being at EVO and, like,
he had the first 210. Well, I'm not sure whether or not it's a money match. He had the first 210 with the Nets, and he actually won. Yeah, so it's pretty impressive. And well, Q-Dog and JFJ. And in Europe, there are only probably 3 or 4 players like Kazuyoshi Girl, Nemesis, Zan, and in Japan, well, Love, the guy that Aris actually mentioned in his podcast, that we're Love that actually kicked all American players' asses. And there are Noko, which is very, very orthodox Yoshi. And Korea is just pretty much held me. That's pretty much it. And yeah, so that's pretty much the introduction for Yoshi. And I'm not sure if you know Yoshi's stances. Scott?
I know, like, no sword stance, obviously. Like that's the big one because it's newest stance. Everybody's trying to, work it in. He has pogo, I know. He has fly or helicopter.
Right.
God, what else is there? Sit.
Yep. Meditation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back turn.
Right. And his Kincho stance.
Yeah, Kincho stance, yeah.
Yeah, Kincho stance is pretty useless. And each stance is pretty much situational. And from range 0 to 0.5, I mean, actually, from 0.5 you could use Indian stance or back turn Indian stance. And from range 1, you can start using the meditation stance, flee, and dragonfly. And from 1.5 and beyond, you should start using the meditation and Indian stance. So it's kind of weird.
Well, I'm glad, you're bringing up all the stances. Obviously, you have to talk about them if you're talking about Yoshi. But you actually mentioned something earlier that I want to go back to because we say it all the time on this podcast. But, Yoshi, we are all about using as much of the move list as possible. And not necessarily because all the moves are good, but just because it gives your opponent something else to think about. And I think that's, like, especially if you're not used to Yoshi or playing against Yoshi, like, a lot of people have trouble with that because he has a really big move set, and he has to use them all in order to be good. So it's not like he's just messing with you and he's just doing all these moves just to give you something to think about. In order to run his game, he has to use a billion moves. So I think that, like, for Dan and I especially, like, that's our thing. Just, use those crazy, stupid moves to just put something more on the plate for your opponent to think about. And Yoshi is just, that's his game style. So.
Right. I mean, each move has its own like special abilities and its strengths, but each move also has its own flaw. So once you find the flaw, you can pretty much easily destroy it. And so that pretty much forces Yoshi to use each move at least once or twice in each round to make sure to keep their opponent busy. So, yeah. All right. Well, so should we go into his poking game?
Sure. Yeah, let's go for it. We got the stances, and so yeah. Now, how are you going to use them?
I'll go through the stances later on, but it's pretty much 4-page worth.
Gotcha. Gotcha. All right, cool. Yeah, let's do his poking game.
All right, his poking game. I probably is gonna stand like less than a minute because his poking game sucks. All right. So most of the time that we're talking about poking game, we want to have something that's decently fast and with acceptable minus. So most of the time that people have like a generic 1 or DF1 or whatever to keep their opponent on their toes, and in case like their opponent decided to attack, they can sidestep or sidewalk. And within -4, you'll be able to sidewalk pretty easily. So with the DF1 being a -1, what happens if your opponent decided to jab you, you could either do a high crush low or sidewalk into a launcher or whatever. Unfortunately for Yoshi, his DF1 is -6 on block. That means that he cannot sidewalk, or he cannot sidewalk safely after his opponent blocked his DF1. However, DF1, he doesn't really have that many. So besides the single 1 jab, he's got 2-2, which is a 2 highs that you can, it doesn't gel, so you can duck the second hit and launch afterward. And he's got down back 3-3-4, this is the double low sweep into mid kick. Mm-hmm. And DF4, which is the really straight kick, which only gives you a +5 on hit and -7 to -9 on block.
The thing is fucking mean, though.
It's really long distance, but it's also really, really linear. So make sure when the time you're in his DF4 range, sidewalk furiously. DF1 also doesn't track, so at that range, you're pretty much free for doing whatever you want. And you can also sidewalk his homing move at that range as well. Yes, F3 is homing, and you can sidewalk it at maximum range.
That is so weird.
Yeah, it's so bad. But yeah, and he's got 2 down 3, which is a high jab into a low kick. That's actually a natural combo. And down back 4, which is the low dinky kick. And the down 4, which is generic kick. That's pretty much sum up for his poking game.
Well, the 2-3, he has he has 2-3, 2-4. Is that the other one?
Well,
and then he has the mid one.
2-3 is the high. It's the jab into a high roundhouse. However, it's not guaranteed. It's not natural combo. And if I recall correctly, it used to be natural combo unless opponent ducked it in VR. But it's no longer a natural combo in VR. Yeah. It is, however, a natural combo on counter, and you cannot duck it.
Yeah, because I know he has the 2-3, then he has the 2 down 3, and then he has the mid one, which is 2-2. Is that right?
No, 2-2 is also.
Oh yeah, 2. Yeah, that's the double jab. That's right. It's 2-1 maybe. No, that's not right.
No, 2-1 is alright. So 2-1 is not really a natural combo. He does a jab into a turning around mid horizontal swipe.
Yeah. That thing like always tricks me up because everybody has a PK combo. That's like 2 down 3 or some shit. The old school Paul thing that.
Oh, so you always block low.
Yeah, and then just fucking eat that all day. Yeah. I don't know why, but I just do.
Yeah, that move doesn't combo on normal hit or counter. So you pretty much, I would say just block it straight, even though that it's safe on block. If I recall.
It is just barely, but
yeah. Most of his attacks are like -7 to -9 on block, so you can do a free mix-up after blocking those attacks. Yep. And other than that, that's pretty much it. And a lot of people, there are a lot of misconceptions of using Yoshi. For people who first learning Yoshi, they usually do something incorrectly. For example, 1-1. A lot of people would think that 1-1 is a poking move. It actually isn't. Because 1-1 gives you -9 on block.
Yeah, I usually I think 1-1 is awesome, but not because of a poke or anything like that. But the second hit is like super tracking, has really good range, mid, and that's like that's the only thing that irritates me about it is because it's mid, and for whatever reason it bails him out a lot. So,
but remember this: if you get hit by that, you get free mix-up. You get free fully crushed Wild Rising mix-up because you're in +4. So Yoshi actually gets -4 on hit with that 1-1. But opponent is crouch.
Yeah. Which is really silly because, I mean, I understand that it's for everything else that it does, it's good, but like the -4 is just crazy.
-4 is kind of stupid. So opponent, let's say like fighting against a Leo player, I'm pretty much stuck into guessing whether or not he's gonna do a fully crouched swipe or a fully crouched, well, actually, Wild Rising 2, you know. I'm pretty much stuck in a mix-up game. But, I mean, that's just one example. But yeah, I mean, in Tekken Tag 2, they fixed it. So DF1 is -4, which is enough for him to sidewalk, and 1-1 being 0 on hit. So he's able to do more mix-up out of it. Yep.
All right.
All right, so let's get to the Punisher. I think that you'll be able to contribute down here a little bit. So at 6th frame, he gets one sword stance flash, and at 8 frames, he gets no sword stance flash.
And that is so.
10 frame. Yep. Yeah, no sword stance has got 8 frames. It's not 6. And at 10 frame, he's got 2-2, which gives him +5. Or in one sword stance, he gets 1-1, which is -4 that we talked about. And 2-1 hold back into a mix-up. Or in no sword stance is 2-1, which he does a right jab into a left spinny arm. I'm not sure if you saw that move.
Yep.
It shoots opponent far, and it wall splats.
Yes.
All right. Well, and at 12 frame, he gets a DF +4. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. And that's the thing that like really kills him. Like whenever I'm playing against a Yoshi, I'm always trying to abuse those -12 because at worst case scenario, he's going to get jabs.
Yep. And at -12, let's say things that pushes far away that like Leo's DF2. Leo's DF2 on block. Sometimes Yoshi's DF4 actually whips. Both his I-10 and I-12 attacks have really, really short range. Pretty much his 1-1 or 2-2 is about as short as Lily's 2. I'm not sure if you ever heard Lily's 2-4 to be extremely short, so you can only punish it at certain places. Yoshi's 1-1, 2-2 is pretty much the same. Unless that you're really, really close, sometimes you would punish, let's say, Leo's FF2.
Yeah, I noticed whenever I play Yoshi, like a lot of times, like if the Yoshi player is not like really, really on, like the down forward 4, the jab punishers, like can really get him in trouble because every time, I mean, he whiffs it and it's not like it's a really awesome recovery. Like, he whiffs it and he's getting launched. So.
Yes, you're totally right. And 14 is DF1, so it's still pretty bad. He doesn't start juggle until 15. Once he gets to 15, it starts to get really, really good. In the regular stance or no sword stance, he gets up 4-3, the hopping knee.
God, that knee is so good.
Yeah, that knee is good if you know how to use it, because that knee normally is mid. It's a low crush mid, but if you buffer it after certain moves, it also evades high. Evades all high and sometimes mids.
Yeah, and it tracks. Don't fucking forget.
Yes, it tracks a bit.
That kills me.
Exactly. Yeah, if you want to get away from it, you have to sidestep or sidewalk like on point. Yep. And in no sword stance, he gets the almighty DF2. Super range. Unfortunately, it's linear, but it's super range. Yeah. And it's safe.
Well, everybody loves generic downpoint too.
Yeah.
Everybody.
DF2 is longer than generic, so it's really, really good. Yeah. You get to try it out. Yeah. And at 16 frame, he gets DF2 too, the stupid double downward slash. And at 16 plus, he gets FF4, the stupid knee.
Yeah.
Yep. And 17, he gets the Shoryuken, CD +1. And let's see. At 27 frame, he gets a root kick.
Ooh. Oh, the skyrocket.
Yeah, you guys call it a skyrocket.
I do. Anything that pops you up that high is a skyrocket. It's
Yeah, it's supposed to be called like kangaroo, but we just call it roo.
I always fuck it. Like when I'm in a match, I always call it something else. I can't even remember. Like it's not even remotely close to what it is. What the fuck do I call it? I can't. It's not kangaroo. It's I'll remember it later. It's some random thing. I'm like, why do I keep fucking calling it that? I don't know. But anyway, moving on.
And for the whip punishers, DF22, CD +1, FF4, 3-4, those are good attacks.
Mm.
And at, let's say if you block a crouching attack, if opponent is really close, 8 frames, in no sword stance, you can instant flash. And at 10 frames, you can do Y Rising 1+2. It's pretty much a generic Y Rising 1. And it's a 10 frame for him. He gets like +7, +8 out of it. So it's pretty good. And at 11 frame, he gets a Y Rising 4. It's pretty stupid. 14 frames, he gets the first 2 hits of Door Knocker. And 15 frames, he could do Hop Kick. And 17 frames, he could do a FF4, which is the knee that cancels from the crouch. So
I do like his wall standing 4 though. I'm not sure if it has like any special properties, but just like the way it hits, like seems to set him up really nice.
His Wall Rising 4 seems to have slightly longer range. Good thing that you pointed out because I didn't even think of it until like you mentioned it. His Wall Rising 4 does have a slightly longer range than most of other people's Wall Rising 4. Yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it. So, I mean, overall, his Punisher is kind of a mixed bag. He can punish really, really fast moves, but also in a very limited situation because his one-sword flash has almost no range. You pretty much can, like, if you're on axis and you just dash toward his face, just dash without doing anything, and you try to flash, he will whiff his flash. So unless that you are actually, your body is touching his, I don't know, dick or something. He's got a short dick. He is not going to touch you with the flash. Yeah, I don't know how to say it, but his no sword stance flash has the range of, let's say, Tekken 5. So it's not too bad. If you get to a no sword stance, flash is definitely the way to go. And there is a special note about his Punisher, though, because Yoshi's got a lot of different, a lot of like unblockables. So in many cases, even though that move, let's say, blocking a low that's -11, you don't necessarily have to punch with an I-11. Instead, you can go for, let's say, a sword sweep.
God, I hate that. I hate that so much.
So, yeah, I mean, he doesn't have to punish you with the move, let's say, that fits perfectly with the frame. He could do something that's slower, but since that you're stuck with a negative frame that you're pretty much holding back anyway, so by the time you realize it, he's already halfway into his unblockables. So that's another way of thinking how to punish with Yoshi that most of the people don't think of.
And I think with the sword sweep you mentioned, doing the crouching version is faster, isn't it? The back.
There are 2 different versions of sword sweep. One of them is the QCB one, which is like fully crouch and just back one. And the other one is the holding down forward one. Those 2 are actually slightly different. The one that was the DF one, it's slower. It's 1 frame slower, but it actually tracks better. And the back one version is much faster. Well, not much faster, but like 1 frame faster. Yeah. But it doesn't track as well. The blind spot of the sword sweep is actually around 45 degrees to 90 degrees to his left. So if you happen to sidewalk around that range, around that area, you're safe. Other than that, you'll get sweeped.
See, I'm old school when it comes to the sweep, because back in tag you could low parry, but you can't low parry. So like I'm always trying, like just instinctually, I'm just trying to parry it. And
oh man, I feel so sorry for you.
I know. I've like tried really hard to break myself of that habit. Every once in a while.
I used to play AV so much, and the first few times he's like, "Damn it, I parried that shit." I was like, "No, you parried that shit. Good job, man."
Yeah, no, well, I can't remember who it was, but a long time ago, like I was playing with our buddy who plays Yoshi, and then some other person who had like just started picking up T6, but they were like an old schooler from tag days, and they kept trying to low parry it, and they were getting really pissed because they were like, "Why is it not giving me this low parry?" And we're like, "Dude, you can't parry it anymore." He's like, "No, I know you can parry that." Like, dude, no, not in this game. You can't parry it.
That's the interesting part of Yoshi. In this game, it seems like all of his low sword moves, for example, like back turn, down 1, or UF2, those sword attacks that hits low cannot be low parried. Yeah. And they cannot even be like special parried, like, let's say, Anna. So that's something that you want to pay attention on.
Yeah, especially have somebody who's low parry happy.
Pretty much, yeah. And so the rule of thumb is that if you want to punish with Yoshi, if you can flash it. Then you do, let's say, 1-1. Then you do I-12 to 14 move if you're dealing with the low minus frames. 1-1 is always better than DF1 or DF4 because it does a lot more damage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But Flash does even more because it's a juggle launcher. All right. So
you got it. So okay. So how about his whip punishing? You mentioned the knee. Knee is really fucking good.
Yep. Knee gets like about 70 points of damage. Yep. And DF2 too, obviously, it's another 70 points of damage for a juggle launcher. And the CD plus 1, I'm not sure if you've seen that move. It's like a Shoryuken thing.
Yeah, and he does it with a sword, right? It's like
yes,
yeah.
He does a Shoryuken uppercut, yeah. It's a sword. Yep. And, well, I personally hate that move because it's negative 18 on block. But Inka really loves it. So, I mean, Yoshi is pretty interesting because everyone is playing him differently. So, you've got like a bunch of different styles of Yoshi players around just because none of his stuff is safe. So everyone is thinking of like, their own strategies to come up with something that works. Yeah. And that's why that makes Yoshi so fun to watch.
Well, you were mentioning earlier about the move list. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that he has the highest move list count in the game.
He may, but I think Huarong has him beat. He's got 160. Yeah, I'm not sure how many Huarong does. And also, Lei might have him beat as well. So Lei, Huarong, him are probably the top 3. If you exclude, like, let's say, throws. Yeah.
I guess it would depend on, like, how they break up the move list and stuff.
Yeah. But I'll have to say, though, out of these 3 characters, Yoshi is probably the most freestyle character out of 3 because most of the times that when you're using Lei and Huarong, you're stuck with a certain stance.
Yeah. And
during that stance, you're pretty much fucked. You're forced to use those moves. And with Yoshi, it's not as bad because you can pretty much free flow from one stance to another stance quite easily or cancel it. With the exception of a Kincho stance. Everything else that you can cancel into a normal standing relatively quickly. Maybe with Lei you can, but but he is a lot more free flowed compared to the other 2, if he has to.
Yeah, but even like Lei can be kind of cookie cutter sometimes. Like, oh, if you're in this stance, you shouldn't be going to this one. You should be going to that one.
Right. Yeah, that's why that they are a lot more limited compared to Yoshi. Yoshi could pretty much just like attack you and suddenly just sit in front of you and just like, yeah, what's up? And it works. And you just have to, sometimes be ballsy and, it's like back turn Indian stance, one of the best stance ever. At 0, at range 0, back turn down 3+4 into a back turn Indian stance. It's one of the best moves because you can instantly escape by pressing 3, which does the back turn shock attack. It gets hell away from your opponent. When they try to come toward you, it's a back turn hop kick launcher. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. That flip it's so goofy. It just looks stupid. You're like, wow, how did that hit me?
Yes, definitely. All right. Well, launchers. I mean, we've gone through quite a few launchers. Well, Flash. The one sword stance is I6, and no sword stance is I8. It's like 6 frames and 8 frames. For the one sword stance, you can do about 40 points of damage. And for the no sword stance flash, you can do about 70 points of damage. So that's pretty scary, because if you think of it, using it like, a jet bait, you do like a DF2. It's only duck, because you think the opponent is going to jab you. Immediately flash to punch opponents with the jab, and you get a free 70 points of damage. That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
As well as like, let's say if you are fighting against Lily, and if you block a DF2, that's a free no sword stance flash. So Lily's DF2 is actually 70 point damage on block. That's pretty bad.
That is pretty bad. Well, you know what? She fucking deserves it, though, because it's safe, and it's a mid. So, fuck her.
Yep. DF3, UF3, and let's say DF3 plus 4 into mix-up will all be beaten by Yoshi's no sword stance flash.
Yeah, that's the one thing that that really messes with people if they're not used to Yoshi, because because of Flash alone can get him out of situations that no other character can get him out of.
Yes. So. Simple, like let's say by wall, a lot of times Dragunov likes to do the overhead slam. Mm-hmm. Yeah, or let's say bot players likes to UF 1 plus 2 to check. Those two are both flash punishable. In fact, that Dragunov is 4-1, one of his best moves, is also flash punishable. So a lot of times, something that's safe is not really safe against Yoshi. And for Yoshi to know that they have to acquire all these knowledge in order to punch every single tiny little things that they can get, because Yoshi sucks.
That's crazy about the 4-1. I didn't know he could flash 4-1.
Yeah, and also he could flash Brian's 1 plus 2.
Huh.
Yeah. the roundhouse punch thing.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, he's got a lot of tiny little tricks that you can get. But yeah, let's say UF3, it's a 15 frame launcher, and on block it's minus 12. You generally get about mid-60s of damage, and it's mid and it low crushes. And after certain moves, for example like DF1 or 3-4, or second hit of a shark attack, if you do a UF3 right away, it evades all highs. So let's say you probably get hit by a UF3 a lot of times when you... I'm not sure.
You actually cut out there for a second. Get hit with UF3 during what?
So if you buffer UF3 after certain moves, the UF3 would have high evasion properties. Mm-hmm. Yep. So it's almost similar to Lars's UF3, except that it's not that good. Lars's UF3 pretty much evades by itself without needing to buffer anything. Yeah. But Yoshi's UF3 has to. But Yoshi is also much safer on block because it's minus 12. Yeah. It doesn't grant you a launcher like Lars. Yep.
Yeah, I think Lars gets more damage too.
Yeah. You don't think Lars gets any damage?
No, I said Lars gets more damage.
Yeah, Lars does get more damage. Yeah.
He's a big hitter.
Yeah. I hate him.
I do too. But.
Yeah, but Dan thinks otherwise.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
No, I don't think. Well, I'm kind of with Dan. I'm in the middle of the road. I don't think he's busted like a lot of people think he is. But I mean, he's definitely a good character.
I think he's pretty good. Yeah. I almost think that I think that he's almost a top tier, if he's not top tier already.
Yeah. See, I put him kind of where I would say a little below where Dragunov is, because Dragunov is right there. He's right on that bubble. He's just waiting for an invitation to the VIP. He's just sitting right there. And Lars is a couple spots back. Yeah. He's in line. He's there. He's waiting.
Right.
He's not quite in there.
Right. And so for other launchers, DF22, it's a double mid hit, and it's kind of limited against the opponent back turn, but you still can get a full juggle. But once that you hit the opponent with that move when it's let's say 45 degrees, slightly off axis, you don't really get any juggle. But let's say a really a very weak short helicopter slash. That's pretty much all you get if you hit your opponent with a DF2 off axis. Yep. And with CD +1, the Shuriken move, let's say, it's not really useful in my opinion except against certain moves. For example, like Kuma's FF2. There's no way to punish the FF2 except to use the Shuriken.
Which is awesome.
Which is awesome, I guess, because FF2 is pretty much hard to punish with even other characters.
Yeah, and the fact that you can do it with a huge-ass sword Shoryuken.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
I don't have to say. It's beautiful when you watch it. It's like, ah! But anyway. Yep. And Rule Kick is 27 frames, and it does like the highest damage out of all Yoshi's juggles. It does usually like about mid-80s of damage.
Well, I think like the move itself does a ton, doesn't it? It's like 30s.
Yes, the move itself does quite a bit. I think it's around 30. It's actually 30. Yeah, you're right.
I just know like whenever it hits, there's a huge chunk of my life bar going. Just right away. Before it even hits.
It hurts a lot.
Yeah.
Yes. And, well, by itself it's not really, really good, but when you mix it up from something else, let's say from Fleet, like a Pogo, or from, let's say, UF3+4, once in a while, it actually hits. And sometimes, like, let's say if you use a lot of shark attacks, a lot of times that people will expect the Rule Kick to come up. We don't necessarily have to finish the shark attack. So once in a while, when you actually finishes it, the next thing that your opponent knows, he's already on the air. So that works that way. I mean, it's a really risky. It's kind of like the panic button if you really have to do it. And then we have the only save launcher from the one sword stance position, which is Dragonfly 2. It's the really high. It's a really quick uppercut from Dragonfly. I'm not sure if you've seen it.
Yeah. It's high, right? Isn't it?
Yeah, it's high. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's 16 frames, and on block is +4. Yep. So when your opponent blocks it, you're pretty much safe because you can just come down. It takes about 4 to 5 frames to come down, so you have enough time to come down and block opponent's jab after they block your attack. And it's a high. And if you, let's say, if you come from 3-4, if the 3-4 hits, the Dragonfly 2 is actually not interruptible.
Yeah, I noticed that because what is the 3-4 on hit? It's like
3-4 is a +9.
Yeah, and then isn't it a +1 on block too? I thought that was plus.
Oh, wait, you're talking about Dragonfly?
No, the 3-4. Is it 3-4? The double mid kick.
Yeah, the double mid kick is double mid kick is a +4 by itself. But if you double mid kick into Dragonfly, it's +9.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I know like it's just a really good tool just to like bounce back and forth. Like even if you don't use it to go into helicopter, like you can still really do some goofy frame traps with it.
You definitely can, yeah. But 3-4 on block, if you cancel into a Dragonfly, there's nothing Yoshi can do against a jab. So opponent can simply jab Yoshi out of the Dragonfly if they blocked 3-4. And if they get the free juggle out of it. Yep. But that goes into my game, which I'll get later. And FF4, as you know, like, you hate that move, right? I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because like at Day 1, if you're playing against a Yoshi player, and just like they always spam forward, and then you're just like, okay, something has to punish them. So I have to. So you're throwing out shoulders and all this other stuff, and you're just getting owned for it.
And nothing works, right? Well, one of the important things to know about FF4 is that it's -4 Yoshi back turn. Now, -4 is not exactly safe because if Yoshi holds back, not going down back, just holding back, jab will hit them before Yoshi can turn around. And to evade come back, which will be hit by your DF1. or generic DF4. So one of the best way to deal with FF4 on block is just pretty much down forward 4, I-12. That with the 12 frames, Yoshi will not be able to, let's say, do a crouch mix-up or whatever against you, and pretty much just keep them honest.
Can he back turn flash that though?
No, he cannot. In BR, back turn flash sucks. So even in a no source stance, he has no range with back turn flash. He might be able to if he still had the DR flash range, but he no longer has it.
I feel like he should have something that beats out. I don't think his hop kick would beat out.
He does. He does have one, but it's completely useless.
Oh.
You know that he has a spinning evasion?
Yeah.
That chumps up his health. That's the move that can get away from DF1 or DF4.
Yeah, I think so.
But Yoshi is at the point where that he really can't do anything because he actually puts him further away from the opponent, even an opponent whips a quick DF1 or DF4. So Yoshi gets nothing. Yep. And back turn UF4. There are a lot of setups that you will see Yoshi to be back turned. So I would consider that to be a regular juggle launcher because you see it very often. And the sword sweep, 25 frames. Is really, really quick because when the time that you see a 25 frame sweep, you always want to dock low.
Yeah.
You always want to block low.
Always want
to. Always.
Yeah.
So,
that or parry it. But
the first few times I saw Sloosh, he ate so much of it, he just went, God damn it. And it was really, really funny. But it only works after on the first day.
Yeah.
Yo. And yeah, you can buffer the sword sweep on a lot of places, which I'll go over the sword sweep setup later. And then you have the no sword stance DF2. 15 frame launcher, -9 on block. Safe, but it's linear, but it's long range. And after DF2, let's say DF2 on block, assuming that your opponent tries to jab you, you can actually do an up forward 3 right after DF2, and that up forward 3 will become a high crush.
Huh.
Yes. So let's say if you see that your opponent always likes to jab you, you can do a DF2 on block, then UF3, and they will go under opponent's jab and launch them.
Yeah, I have noticed a lot that the hop kick knee will go under jabs in certain situations. So.
There is another way to perform a hop knee that's got a high crush alone. You have to do a UF then 3. You cannot do it at the same time. You need to have let's say about 2 to 3 frames between the UF and 3. Then your UF3 will be able to crush high for the first, let's say, 3-4 frames. Yeah. But that's the same for most of people's UF3.
Yeah.
Or 4. Yeah.
Yeah. The little it's like a weird. Well, I mean it's a buffer, but I mean it's like a weird jump cancel thing.
Yeah, definitely. And then the last launcher that I'm gonna go over is the U3+4, the double kick. Mm-hmm. Let's say he flips onto the air and he disappears and it comes down with a double kick. Yep.
I think
that
solid.
Yep, it's very solid because it's 4 to 5 frames on block and it puts the opponent to crouch. And it's 70 points of damage if it hits. It's you cannot escape the juggle. It's a launcher in this game. So and it's really, really useful to say for an Oki game by the wall especially because your opponent is stuck there. They can't do anything. You can pretty much do anything that will be faster than your opponent, or you could just backstep quite a bit and do it unblockable, and they will have to eat it.
And that hits grounded too, right?
Yes, it hits grounded. It's painful.
Yeah. It's kind of like it's like Yoshi's version of Lee's new.
Yes, pretty much. Yep. And yeah, let's see. All right, I've got so many things. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to fly through all this stuff.
No, that's good. That's good. People fucking want that info. So.
Okay. So with juggles, different from other people's juggle, Yoshi's juggle is actually quite simple. Most of his juggles revolve his back ones, and I think that the difficult part of his back one is that you actually have to count how many ones that you pressed, during the time that you're doing the juggle. Because a lot of times that people are not used to pressing the exact amount of back ones. And in a case where they have to do 5 back ones, they accidentally press 1 more, and there you have Yoshi busy right in front of your opponent, getting a free launcher and stuff. And the funny part is that Yoshi's stables, like that's what most of the people use Yoshi's launchers. After they do the launchers, they like to do the back 1 times 2 and back 1 times 5, the 2 spin into 5 spin version. Now, let's say if you are not really careful and you do the 6 spin, you're pretty much dead. And so I actually came up with a modified version which will work and give you the same amount of damage. Instead of doing 2 spin, 5 spins, you should do 3 spin and 2 spin. Not only it's easier because, alright, so if you do 2 spin, 5 spin into a bound, you actually have to dash in before you do the back to 1 bound ender. Yeah. But with a 3 spin, 2 spin, you don't have to. In addition, 3 spin, 2 spin works even against opponent's back turn. So 2-5, you're going to whiff. 3-2, you will not whiff in the back turn. So Yoshi actually gets the same amount of damage against opponent back turn if you do the 3 spin, 2 spin version.
Yeah, that's pretty important.
Yeah, it is really important because a lot of people don't know. And it's like, oh shit, opponent's back turned, so I'm going to get less damage. It's not so for Yoshi if you do a 3 spin, 2 spin version.
And back turn is especially important too because a lot of people, like, they start doing like weird little low damage juggles whenever they get into that situation where they hit it back turn. But like a lot of characters have really, really good juggles against back turn opponents, but they're different. They're alternate juggles, so you have to know. But
yes, but with Yoshi, 3 spin, 2 spin works front and back. It doesn't matter which way it goes.
Yeah, which is really useful.
Yep. And let's see. All right. So to do the back 2-1 Kincho F2, like sometimes you get to see like the back 2-1 into this quick sword spin type of move, which is actually a mid, or it's actually a high. That actually requires a shorter juggle fillers before you do that move. If you do it too long, you will actually whip the last hit. Same for the F3 plus 4 into a flee 2. Yeah, I'm not sure if you know what I mean, but let's say F3 plus 4 is the kamikaze.
Yeah.
If it hits the opponent, it will automatically go into a flee rush.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, if you do the move, if you do not as much move before you do the F3 plus 4, you're able to actually insert a flee head dive to your opponent, and it's going to be part of a combo. That will give you the most damage among all Yoshi's juggles, but it actually gives you no Oki whatsoever. Right. And so, well, for after bound, in one sword stance, well, to bound your opponent in one sword stance, you got to do F1 plus 2. It's one of the easiest high damage bound ever. Yeah. Or you could do down back 1 or wild rising 3-2. In no sword stance, you're stuck with a much weaker bound ender, which are much shorter range or much weaker. It's like down 1, UF4, or DF3-1.
Well, I know you were mentioning the back 1
yes.
enders, or the Oki stuff.
Yes.
Usually, in addition to that, I know that there's the tech roll trap with the fly, yes. Fly sword, and then yes. And then if you just sit there, he actually has resets.
Yes. So this is where I'm going to get to the Oki part, the post-bound. Mm-hmm. A lot of Yoshi's Oki actually gets revamped because of the bound. In bound situation, most of the characters will follow up with, let's say, the max amount of damage for the strings or whatever. With Yoshi, his back 2-1 is pretty much the stable. So while that you might want to get a back 2-1 for the maximum damage, sometimes you can actually opt out to do something that's not so guaranteed, however, very, very hard to get away from. I mean, with the guaranteed stuff, back 2-1, down 2-2, F3 plus 4, or 3-4, or sidestep 1, all these things are useful in some extent. because they each pop opponent in different distances. So let's say if you want to pop opponent to the right height to the wall, you will be able to use like either one of the 5 moves that I just mentioned. But if you want to, let's say, start playing some tricks, you can start using different moves. For example, like UF 1+2 down. This is a quick death copter, which Yoshi flies up and immediately do a downward slash. This move actually tracks opponent quick roll, stay on the ground, side roll, or any kick. The only way to get out of this is to back row, which is something that normally you don't want to do. And that's the reason why it always hits. Yep. And or you could do the delayed sword slash, the down one.
Yep.
And just do it. Yep. Just do it once. If it hits your opponent on counter, your opponent will be recovered face down, head forward. So it's a really, really bad position for them to stand up because you can dump forward one to pop them up for a mini juggle. Or let's say if your opponent is, let's say, tag roll happy, you know that your opponent is going to tag roll after bounding them, you could do the very, very slow back 1+2 unblockable. The one that Yoshi stat back, and he just swings his sword 360 degrees. That move actually hits opponent trying to tag roll out of bound, and it does 70 points of damage.
Yeah, I was going to say it does something silly.
It's silly damage. Except that there are a few characters that can get away from it, even after the tag roll. You can relax, you can do Indian, you can do the Bach, or AOP. So remember, if you're one of those 4 characters and accidentally tag after the bound, and you see Yoshi's doing that to you, do those stances. Relax, AOP, Indian, or Bach. Yes. Alright, so, well, after those tag trap, opponent will probably not want to tag roll anymore, and that is when you want to start doing the reset. You can either dash in into a flee, then root kick, which will give you another possible tag trap into a sword sweep, into another set of juggles. Or you could do a 4-3+4 on the Poison Wind series. All those mix-ups will hit opponent if they don't move. So that will be the simple post-bound Oki.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, yep. And I hope that I'm not being too boring right now.
I'm just trying to keep up. Like it's like a lot of information. Like even when you're playing against him, like you don't really realize like how much.
There are a lot of information.
Yeah.
And for most of Yoshi players, when the time we're playing, we have to think what opponent is thinking. And unfortunately, a lot of times we have to think like seconds ahead of opponents. Because, Yoshi is kind of weak, but if you play your cards right, you can kill your opponent within 10 seconds. It's that easy. Your opponent won't be able to stand up. But yeah. Now, with unblockables, one of the scary part with Yoshi is that he's got a lot of unblockables. I've counted yesterday. He's got 37 of them.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. And there are quite a few unblockables that are really, really useful. I mean, besides the sword sweep, he's got the back 1+4 series where he just kind of stab his sword to you. I'm not sure if you've seen that move.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That move can cancel into a faster version, which he just taps his sword on your head. And if you get hit, if you get countered by that move, he gets a free juggle. Or he could do a sword spin from there, which that if you try to get up incorrectly, you eat it. It's unblockable. And then back 1+2 is used for post-bound tag trap. Actually, Kazuyoshi Girl came up with that. And then we've got UF 1+2 down, which is the fast helicopter slash version. Yep. And we got a Kincho back 1+2. The one that he pulls out 2 swords and he just step back a bit and he does a double sword unblockable to you.
Yeah, the step back makes that one really tricky because sometimes you'll whiff, not expecting him to step back. But
It's a beautiful attack, especially let's say like you try to get up and you block a low. by the wall, and he back 2 hit you, and he could cancel into a Kincho stance into that attack, you pretty much have no time to react with that move before that move hits you. And it used to be really, really powerful in 6.0. They actually toned that move down, so you are able to sidewalk left to avoid it. But only sidewalk left. Yep. And Yoshi is also known to be a rage killer. Not only he can actually actively start his rage. Let's say a lot of times that in higher level play, when you have 2 players trying to fight against each other, and you notice that you are not going to kill them with your juggle, you tend to want to do a juggle that's of less damage, which would not be able to activate their rage.
Yeah.
In Yoshi's case, if that happens to Yoshi, he would just simply do a back 3 or back 4 to do a evasion spin, and that will actually activate his rage by reducing the small amount of health.
Yeah.
Yep. So not only he can activate his own rage, he can also kill his opponent's rage quite easily. In range 1, he can just dash in and just do a dragonfly into a unblockable slash. In range 1 or higher, he could even go into a flee and just jump forward. In range 1.5, he just do a quick backward 1+4 into the quick sword tap on the head. And in range 2.5, you do a delayed sword slap. Yo.
Well, I know he, but you mentioned, you haven't gotten to walls yet, so.
I haven't got to walls. Well, most of the walls are pretty much that, well, how do I say it? Most of the times that for characters with the strong wall games, they tend to put themselves really, really close to their opponent by the wall because they want to either score a quick damage or they want to score a wall swap. With Yoshi, it's not the case. He is actually better against opponent by wall if he keeps a certain distance, because with the distance, he will be able to execute his unblockable well. Because normally, to get away from unblockables, you tend to, let's say, backdash or sidewalk out of it. However, if you're in the corner, there's no way that you can backdash out of the unblockable, which is like, let's say, out of your hop kick range. And that gives Yoshi an upper edge of using the unblockable out there. For example, let's say, if you were by the wall and Yoshi just did a U3+4, the downward kick on you, which that gives him a massive amount of plus, he can just casually backdash and does a back 1+2. If you happen to do a magic 4, hop kick, jab, or do whatever, you will whiff, and he will proceed to hit you with the unblockable. It takes about 70 points of damage with Oki afterward.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I know he also has the sword spin.
Yes.
You cancel the first unblockable into the sword spin.
Yes.
Because that's nasty.
That is nasty because if you tag, that move will hit you every single time. And even if you get hit by that move, and you do not attack right away, he do up 3+4 to counter any of your rising attacks. And if it hits you, that's another juggle starter. So against Yoshi, you have to stand up very, very carefully. If you're not careful, you're always going to be on the floor or on the air. Yep. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, but yeah, I mean, with all bunch of moves, that Yoshi actually has a lot of like useless moves. Let's say no sword stance Kincho 2. It's a launcher that doesn't juggle, and is launch punishable on block.
How is a launcher that doesn't juggle? How does that even work?
Because he's got so much negative that he can't do anything out of it.
Oh, okay, I see. Like he launches him up, but it's okay.
It launches up, but it do nothing, and there's no follow up. Yeah, it sucks. And yeah, they fixed that move now though, so it's a class 2 launcher now. It's pretty good. But in VR, it's a launcher that doesn't juggle. And he's got a suicide move out of no sword stance. He just disappeared for like, let's say, 2-3 frames. and he appears right again, and he can't do anything. It's not a reversal or a parry per se. He just stabs himself, disappears for 2 frames, and come back. I think you can jump out of the disappearance as well. And yeah, he's got a throw that gives opponent health. And it doesn't mix up. I think that you know that move. So it's a I'm not sure if you know that move.
That gives
he gives his opponent health. Yeah.
I know the one where he grabs his head or your head.
Yes.
Is that it?
Yeah. Yes. He has 2 different versions. One version he sucks opponent's health. If opponent happens to press 1+2 to escape that move, opponent will suck his health instead. But he has another set of throw that just gives opponent health. And even opponent escapes it, he still gives opponent health.
That's weird.
That's really dumb. I think that the only way to use it is, let's say, if opponent is in rage mode and you don't want to get raged out, just give him a little health. But, you know, it's kind of stupid.
Yeah, that sounds so silly.
Yeah, and yeah, and he's got the back turn flash. Back turn flash in DR was amazing. In this game, it sucks balls. I can't think of anything. Like, I think like we've got about 7-8 people trying to think of something to use for back turn flash. We couldn't find any, so we gave up.
That sucks.
Yep. And so I mentioned that there are some extreme matchups earlier. So in some cases, that Yoshi is best to stay in one stance, and in some other cases, Yoshi is better to stay in no sort of stance. For example, against Lily's DF2, UF3, and DF3+4 mix-ups are all punishable, are all interruptible by Yoshi's flash. Mm-hmm. Julia, shotgun mix-up, the shotgun into a spin will be killed by Yoshi's no sword stance flash. And Julia's the hop kick. I think that a lot of people hate that move.
Yeah, it's just stupid.
Yeah, it is stupid. But Julia's hop kick, the 3-hit mix-up, any point where Julia stops it, Yoshi can no sword stance flash.
Yeah, I actually I do remember that because we have another Iowa player who lives about an hour away from me. Every once in a while, we'll get some games in with him, and he's a Julia player. And our buddy I was mentioning earlier who plays Yoshi, he actually told me that not long after we started playing T6. He's like, yeah, I don't even play the mix-up. I just wait until she slows down, and then I just flash it. I was like, that is cheap.
Pretty much, Yoshi just needs to step back, switch into a no sword stance. Whenever Julia does the shotgun, flash. Whenever Julia hop kicks, flash. That's pretty much what you need to do with
that's awesome.
Yoshi.
Yep. I hate Julia, so anytime that she can get the shaft, I'm all for it.
Totally. And against Leo, it's probably better to stay in no sword stance as well. Leo's UF2-1 can be interrupted by either flash, if I believe so. And a lot of times that Leo stuns you, like FF3 mix-up, that also puts you into a fully crouch. You can just simply flash it from crouch, and you'll get a full juggle out of it. Yep. And against, let's say, characters like Monarch, Christy, Dragunov, Bob, Yoshi's best to stay in one sword stance because of the flash that punishes a -6. So those are the things that you, let's say if you want to fight against those characters, stay in one sword stance and flash when the time is right. Yep.
Good info. I do like flash because it's not the tag flash it used to be. So anytime that flash can be used well, I'm all for that. So
yeah, flash can be very, very useful. It actually sets the good players from the mediocre players. So if you can flash well, it's definitely good. And besides the defensive flash, there are some flash setups, like offensive flash setups, which that you can do certain move before you do the flash and to trick your opponent into attacking you. So here are some setups that I've got that usually Yoshi players will use to set up flash, or at least for Yoshi players who want to to get some flash setups, these are the moves that you can do before doing the flash. So Junong from Virginia actually came out with this flash setup. You know F2? F plus 2 is the backhand.
Yep.
Slap or silly. Yeah. After F2, most of the time the opponent would think that you have a huge minus. It's actually only -4. So a flash right after F2, which puts Yoshi really close to opponent, will kill opponent if they try to do any move other than block. Same for Wild Rising 1-2. And you could also do a, let's say, the Poison Wind, the UF3+4, the double kick, into a spin, into another double kick. Now that move looks like Yoshi's got a lot of minus. It's actually 0 on block. That's also another place where the Yoshi players like to flash. And there are some very obvious stuff, for example, like hop forward and the delayed punch.
Yeah.
That's also a flash bait. On block is probably like -3 or 4. So if opponent tries to do anything, they will get flashed.
God, I love flash setups. Those are really good. They're just so goofy. You're like, why is this? I should have totally had the advantage. And then you just ended up getting flashed.
Yes, definitely. And when you're in no sword stance, it's even more disgusting. For example, let's say you do a DF2. Pretty much anything that's within -10, within -9, just do an attack. If your opponent is the jabby type, they will probably try to jab you. You just duck and flash from crouching. Or let's say if opponent hits you to the ground and you tag roll by holding down, which then you will recover crouching. Right after you tag roll, you flash. You kill any incoming opponents after you tag roll. So that's pretty dirty, I just say. Especially like when you're in no sword stance. 70 points, man. That's a lot.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially off of 8-frame launcher.
Yeah. I mean, sure it's -16 block, but who the hell blocked that move?
Yeah, nobody.
Yeah. You just come in and eat it. That's what you do. Yep. And there are sword sweep setups. I'm not sure if you have seen any. But,
yeah, I see that move way too often.
You see a lot of people like to just dash in and do the sword sweep, which can be annoying but can be predictable. There are other moves that you can use to make it less predictable. For example, let's say 3-4. It's a double kick. As I mentioned earlier, if you go double kick into a dragonfly, and if the opponent blocks it, they can jab you out of the air. So instead of going to dragonfly, you just duck afterward and do a sword sweep while opponent is trying to jab you out of the thin air. That works really, really well.
Yeah, usually whenever I just get blindsided by a sword sweep, it's usually some sort of setup that involves baiting a jab of some sort, and then
right.
I mean you don't have the time while you're pulling your arm back. Here comes an unblockable sword.
Yes. Yeah, and he could also try to slow down your reactions. For example, like down back 1. The down back 1-1 is the double sword slash thing that's safe. He does a back hop into a vertical slash into a horizontal slash. That move always looks like he's going to cancel the second attack, but he always finishes. I'm not sure if you remember that move, but if you only do the first part of the move, you can just duck into sword sweep. That also works really well. Same for whatever that you said earlier with 2-1 into a cancel. A high jab into a swing, except that you don't finish it and just duck into sword sweep. And there are other ones that, for example, like just a simple hop forward and just immediately duck in front of your opponent into a sword sweep. That also works really, really well. I would say like Smooch probably ate it quite a few times too.
Oh, ooh, I like how you're throwing him under the bus. Yep, that guy, he ate it.
No, he beats me all the time, man. But like seriously, there are a lot of like stupid setups that still works on him. It's really, really hard because he's a really, really good defensive player. So whenever that any of my setup hits him, I feel proud.
Yeah, I think it's his character. Elise is bullshit.
Unless that's so hard to fight.
So stupid.
Yes.
But
And yep. And yeah, and also UF2, the one that he jumps into a low sweep. That move on hit, it's a +5, which also puts Yoshi really close to opponent, and Yoshi recovers crushing from there. Sword sweep from there is also really, really hard to defend against. So that's another part that people who are fighting against Yoshi needs to watch out for. If you see your opponent, if you see Yoshi players is trying to UF2 on you all the time, watch out for the sword sweep afterwards. It will come.
yeah. Well, I just hate that move in general because it's a jumping low. I hate jumping lows.
Yeah, especially that move is really annoying. If Yoshi abuses it, you probably can block it. But let's say if he just uses it once in a while, especially at the end of the game, you're pretty much dead. When you see him jump, it's like, oh my god, he's gonna block mid, but no, it's gonna hit your toe. You're gonna die. Yeah. Well, I've got some more, but I'm not sure if you want it. I've got some notes on how to use each stance well and what are the properties of each stances.
I would say, yeah, if you want to go through that, yeah, might as well. Maybe not like every single move, but like a general overview of each stance. Yeah, I would think that would be like crucial.
Yeah, I don't think I will be going over all the stuff. So for Dragonfly, well, it's mainly for opponent waking up from the ground. You don't want to normally do a Dragonfly out of a blue. So the way to do Dragonfly is probably after the attack that you cancel into a Kincho stance, and Kincho stance has a move that transfers to a Dragonfly by flying forward. That's a good way to go into a Dragonfly. Or let's say if opponent's gonna die, just dash forward, Dragonfly, and slash them. Now, when Yoshi's in Dragonfly, Yoshi cannot be ultimate tackled or tackled by Modok. So let's say if you're fighting against Modok who is tackle heavy, or at least that you see that he's coming, go into Dragonfly, you'll be safe.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times you get the Dragonfly too.
That's right, you get a free Dragonfly too. Yep. And from, well, as I said before, from 3-4, the double kick into Dragonfly 2 is not interruptible. However, Yoshi can be hit by Nina's sidestep 2. If I remember, is it sidestep 2 or sidestep 1?
The launcher?
Yeah,
sidestep.
Sidestep 2, yeah. Sidestep 2 will actually avoid Yoshi's Dragonfly 2, so watch out for that. And during Yoshi's Dragonfly 3 or 4, Yoshi can actually be hit out of it with low. So a lot of times Yoshi actually get hit by low sweeps during his Dragonfly attacks. It's kind of stupid.
Yeah, it just sounds stupid. Well, I know, is it 3? No, 4 is the mid one, right?
4 is the mid one, 3 is the low.
Yeah.
In animation, it looks like Yoshi's still on the air, but Yoshi gets hit by low.
Yeah, especially the 4, like the mid. That's the one that's weird. But
yeah, they can hit Yoshi even in Yoshi's early animation too. So yeah. So Flea, I mean, we all know it's served mainly as an Oki, especially against the opponent on the ground who refuses to move.
Running.
Yep.
Flea running.
Yep. Flea rush can be really annoying, and it can be pretty scary to look at. By a wall, you can hit like about 3 or 4 times, and opponent will not be able to tag row out of it. They just keep getting hit. But each hit only hits 1 point, though, so it's kind of weak.
Yeah.
So Flea, well, how do I say it? It's similar to Dragonfly. It's immune to any of the tackles, except like the unblockable tackle. So Ultimate Tackle and Modok Tackle would not work against Flea.
Do they get hit by Flea, or does it just whiff?
I think that they whiff. I'm not sure.
I don't see that matchup very often. So
yeah, you don't see that kind of matchup very often because no one uses Modok and no one uses Yoshi. So
that's true.
Yeah, but Modok will whiff, if I recall correctly. It will whiff really, really bad, so you could pretty much get a Flea into a roll kick on him. It's that bad. And, well, Flea 2 hitbox is kind of weird. A lot of people hate that move. Flea into the head dive, the low head dive.
Yeah.
A lot of people think, like, Flea head dive is really linear. It's actually not so. I'm not sure if you've seen that move.
Oh, yeah. I was at certain distances, like, it'll hit you if you check
it goes sideways once in a while.
Yeah.
So let's say if you're, like, 90 degrees from Yoshi's face. If Yoshi goes head dive, sometimes he could go sideways and hit you through his body, and it would still hit. And even sometimes, let's say Yoshi is facing the wall with a Flea and opponent's behind him, and he goes into a Flea head dive, his feet will actually hit you, and you'll be on the ground. Yeah, it's hard to describe it. It's hard to imagine it without, like, a video, but it's a really fucked up move. Yep. And then there's the meditation. It's mainly for Ogi or mid-range health gain. Meditation is one of a safer way to gain health, but the initial health gain is actually half of how much that you normally gain. For each health gain, Yoshi usually gets about 4 points. But the first health gain with meditation, he only gets 2 points. Which is kind of useful too, because let's say, like, if you activate your rage, you sometimes want to get as much health as possible while staying in rage. So that 2 points increment actually helps. Trying to get, like, as much as health as possible before you deactivate rage.
I always thought it was a really good bait, because, like, there's a lot of people, they see you start meditating, like, nope, I'm not going to let you get any life. But your whole goal is not to get life, just to get them to start rushing in.
Yep. Good thing you mentioned it too, because meditation. A lot of people don't know about this, but during the meditation, if you press back and immediately down back, Yoshi could go like a fox step type of back turn down back evade in Tekken 4. It goes far, far away, even beats the range that you would normally get from just a regular back turn. So what happens is that Yoshi actually takes a back step. During the back step, he will go with the distance that normally back turn down back will give you. So that will cause most of the mid-range attacks width, and Yoshi can get FF4 or CD1, depending on the amount of width that the opponent does. And for Indian stance, it's the health gain and teleportation. Whenever you teleport, you always make crowd go wild. Yep. And it gains like 4 points of health, and it avoids sound unblockables. So let's say if you see an unblockable comes at you, and right after you attack roll, sit. It will help you. Sit. And it avoids all highs except Electro Wind God Fist.
Does it avoid tackle? Correct tackle?
No, it does not. It actually puts you down to a tackle.
That's so stupid.
Because it doesn't make sense. Oh, also, like, the stance is actually considered as an airborne, so you can do a low pop, and you can go into a juggle. Against Yoshi, that is. And most of the moves that come from Indian stance are really slow. Namco actually nerfed Yoshi's frame from Indian stance. So in DR, you could do moves a lot faster, but in BR, you're pretty much stuck in the spinning animation before you do any move. And so if you really want to time your attack, you have to think at least a second ahead of your opponent. And other than that, you pretty much have to do the stance, like, let's say, range 2 away from your opponent before your opponent does anything stupid on you. Let's say, like, pulse down 1, very easy to hit Yoshi. And there are many other attacks that are just stupid against him. If Lily does a DF 3+4 against Yoshi, Indian stance, it's a 4 juggle.
3+4 what is it?
DF 3+4, the cartwheel.
Cartwheel, okay, yeah.
Yeah. And, but there is one thing that most people don't know about Yoshi's Indian stance. He can move during the Indian stance.
Yeah, when
The
he
way
just
to
puts down, like he puts his hands on his leg, like his lap
yeah,
or whatever. Yeah.
his ass glides. Yeah, he glides with his ass, and you could so talent doing that stance too. You're holding the kicks and just mash the punch button while like mashing the directions. You make funny noises. You can try it like after this podcast if you want. But
I probably won't, but I'll take your word for it.
And in this stance, actually, backturn Indian stance is more powerful than Indian stance. If you're lucky enough to fight against a knowledgeable Yoshi player and you get to see the backturn Indian stance, do not chase him. Well, if you really want to chase him carefully because he can do some stupid shit out of a backturn Indian stance.
Okay, such as.
So, alright, so Indian stance teleport, he will appear behind you, right? Backturn Indian stance, if he teleports, he will actually space. It's kind of like a triple to quadruple backturn, a backdash cancel. He will actually leave that much of a space. Let's say if you rush him, if you do a unblockable tackle toward him when he is actually backturned Indian stance, you will whiff your unblockable tackle for him to get a free DF22 on you. That's just one of the many examples that he can do with a backturn Indian stance. Backturn Indian stance is his ultimate defense.
Alright.
Because if you want to attack him low, he could do a unblockable attack, which is backturn. Doesn't hit you, but it avoids the low. And he's ready for a high crush, high and low crush hop kick from backturn from that position. So.
I see. Alright.
Yep. Alright. Well, I think I shouldn't go too much about it. I think that should be it.
Okay, well, you actually did, you did a great job covering everything. There was one thing I wanted to talk about, just because it's, like, whenever I'm playing Yoshi, I'm always looking for it, but his grab game in general.
Oh, yep.
And Rainbow Drop, I swear to God, that fucking grab is unblockable, or unbreakable. Like, it's just, for whatever reason, every time it comes out, it's just,
It's really fast, and also it breaks the floor. However, Yoshi doesn't get anything out of it.
No, but like for whatever reason, like the frame window on it is just really, really weird. It's
Right.
really hard to break.
It only becomes tougher if Yoshi player buffers that throw out of a previous attack. I'm not sure if your opponent does like a UF 3+4 into a spin into a throw. That thing is literally unseeable. So you gotta watch out all the setups.
Well, yeah, spin is the big one. Yeah, like I'm always looking for Rainbow Drop after a spin. But
right.
Yeah, but there's just all sorts of random situations that you can throw that grab in.
Yeah, I think that you have 2 to 3 frames less to escape the throw, so it's pretty hard. It's a double button escape. So
and it does it does 50, right? Is that right?
I actually don't know.
I'm gonna look that up right now because I know it does just a retarded amount of damage.
It does quite a bit of damage, and
I mean, granted, it doesn't like give him the best Oki because he bounces away afterwards,
right.
But I mean, still.
Hey, 47, you're good.
What was it?
47.
47.
You're good. Yeah.
I'm good at eyeballing the life bar.
You're really good, man. Yep.
Hilarious. But what about like? Do you have any like suggestions for like what kind of Oki you would run off of like his regular? What is it? His one grab that he spikes you down with the hilt of his sword or sword?
His throw game is not that good, but you could use throw games to change positions. Yoshi is not really good. Yoshi's not really big with his throw games. Most of the times after the throw, it's a guessing game. It puts opponent really close to Yoshi, but there is nothing that's guaranteed. If opponent does not want to move, he could do a quick toe kick by doing down back 4 or down 4. If opponent decided to roll, he could do a down back 3 series, which will juggle opponent. And if the opponent decided to stand up and to do some stupid stuff or to block, Yoshi could just Yoshi could just sword sweep from that position. But there's not much that I can say that will give Yoshi massive amount of damage if they stand up incorrectly. However, both 1+3 throw and the double throw that you just mentioned, the rainbow drop, both would change the positions after it's been escaped. Even if it's not, well, for 1+3 throw, if you don't escape, it still switches the position. With the rainbow drop, if you escape the throw, well, actually, if you don't escape the throw, it will not change the position.
Man, it's been a while since I've played against Yoshi. I thought the camera switched, but I guess not.
Well, 1+3 it switches the position. So if Yoshi's by the wall, you could use 1+3 to reset the position. And same for the rainbow drop, if opponent escapes it, that is.
Okay, so only if rainbow drop is broken, it will switch.
It will switch if it's broken.
Okay. So you want your cheesy, obvious setups in that situation.
Pretty much, yeah. And if Yoshi gets back throw, he can get a nearly guaranteed back turn down one. So, because Yoshi's back turned after the throw. Yep.
All right. Well, yeah, that's all I can think of. Like that was the only thing that I remember, like, or that I can think of that I deal with a lot whenever I play Yoshi. So,
Yep.
But everything else, yeah, that was a ton of info. So,
Oh wait, that's your head,
yeah. I don't even know what to do with everything that was just said. But yeah, if that doesn't help you, like, learn how to play Yoshi or like get into the head of a Yoshi player, I really don't know what will. I don't know how we can help you if we haven't already. So okay, since I've kind of been a flake the last few times on the podcast, you don't happen to have a female around there, do you?
I don't have an email.
No, a female, a woman.
Oh no, my girlfriend not here yet.
Because I keep forgetting the girls going low segment, and then of course I remember it, and then there's no girl around. Go figure.
Yeah.
But you, I think you said something a while ago about it. If you want, we do open the floor to abortion jokes. So if you want to sacrifice one of your jokes,
they laugh at me. Yeah, all right. So here's one. Why did the fetus cross the road?
I don't know.
Because they moved the dumpster.
Nice. That's a nice one. I kind of remember somebody doing like a why did blah cross the road, but I don't think it was that one. So that was a good one though. I like that. Okay, so we'll do the final segment here real quick. So pretty much just open mic, whatever we call it, sound off, whatever like really angers you, whatever makes you mad, just you tell the world.
Okay. All right. I've been in TZ for a while, and I've been modding TZ for a while. And there are always a bunch of little kids who always think that they're so good at a game, but they really suck so much. And they always have the strategies. They think that they're the first one to come up, and they always create a new thread, one after another. It seems like, and no one else know about it. So, I'm so great. And it really, really pisses me off because when I close it, once in a while I'll get a PM and saying like, what the fuck is going on, man? Why did you close my thread? My thread is full of information. It's like, oh god, here we go again. That really annoys me, especially after Tekken 5, since the online Tekken is available. You see a bunch of online Tekken players think that they're so great because of the online lag. And as you said, hop kick is safe on block and a bunch of other shit. Low sweep is unseeable. You see a bunch of online players think that they're so great that they're the best players in the world. If you go on Bag Forum, you go on to Yoshi Forum or Armor King Forum, you'll find them. You'll find them in the best players threads. I guarantee you will laugh when you read them. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I go to the character forums every once in a while, but the only reason I ever do that is if A, I'm looking for like a juggle list, or B, I need like a Punisher list.
Right.
Other than that, I pretty much just watch vids and talk to people I know aren't stupid, and then I just kind of figure it out from there.
It's kind of sad too because for mods, we are not allowed. In fact, I don't think we can ignore anyone. So in that regard, we have to read every single post and do the right thing, like close the forum close the thread and explain to them nicely. Even though in our heart it was like, what the fuck is wrong with you, man? Learn to read. Post more, it's what we said earlier. Like, read more, post less.
Yeah.
And it just seems like the kids nowadays don't get it.
Yeah. Well, no. Yeah, and they're not going to. It's just the, I don't know. It's just like the rite of passage of being a noob, you know? Like, you have to be annoying and loud and obnoxious. But, yeah, I remember I was a mod for a short period of time.
Remember that, yes.
Back in the 5.0 days.
You were the law mod, right?
I was, yeah. I remember, hey, I'm just going to throw this out there. I taught Rip everything he knows. I'm just going to...
Good shit, man. Good shit.
I'm just telling everybody right now, I taught him everything he knows. Oh, man. But that was a long time ago. And then I didn't even, I stepped away from TZ for like a year. And because, 5.0 died, and then nobody was playing DR. Like, people played it, but there weren't really, tournaments for it. And, because if I remember correctly, it was DR that had the lowest turnout ever for a Tekken at EVO.
Oh, really?
I think it was one of the DR tournaments. So, it was just real, it wasn't a real big Tekken time. So I kind of just walked away for a little bit. And, everyone was waiting for a new Tekken, and it was taking forever for us to get T6. So I stepped away, and then I come back, and I don't have an orange glow. And that's the end of that story. And I was like, you know what? That's okay. I give that power to somebody else. Because I don't really want to read everyone's useless bullshit. So.
It might not be a bad thing. I mean, modding some of the most useless forums like CCC or general forums sometimes can really get your blood pressure up.
Yeah. What I would really like to see, the one thing that I miss from being a mod, when I was on TZ for the first couple of years. I donated to the site so I could get my avatar. All that.
Oh, yes.
And if you're a mod, you automatically get that. You don't have to donate anything. And
that's right.
It would be nice to see on TZ or, I don't know, most forums out there, once you hit a certain mile marker, that they just give you that for free, 5 or 10 years,
That will actually be quite nice because at least, you're special. You've been there for a while, and it sets you apart from, let's say, tens of thousands of noobs.
Yeah.
And,
And I would say, a 5-year marker would be really good. And maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Because, most people who, if you make the 5-year mark and you're actually paying attention to it, you've earned it. And most people are there for a little while, and then they just forget about it and go away. So.
Right.
But those are just the opinions of a humble. So. All right, well, that's really all I have. That was a great sound off because I agree. Being a mod for a short period, I know exactly what you're talking about. So I can relate to that. And that's all I have. Any last words? Any parting words before we call it the end?
I don't know. I love you guys. I would like to touch every single one of you, maybe.
Oh my God! You know what? Dan's gonna love you for that right there.
I love him back.
Well, I will speak for everyone else say that they all want to touch you. We all want to touch you.
Oh my God, I'm ready. I'm so bothered now. You have no idea. My left hand is very busy right now.
Nice. A little fap action. I like it.
Oh yeah.
All right, well, that's all we got then, kids, for Yoshi. Most of you are probably too dumb to actually play him, But if you do, there's way more information than you probably ever need to know in this podcast. So, well, thanks for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it. We needed some Yoshi love. We definitely need that. So,
Thank you.
yeah, thanks for coming on. And everyone, you have a great evening.